Hey everyone, welcome back to Fish It Up. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. It's not directly related to fishing, it's kind of indirect, but it's to deal with my tow vehicle, my 21 Chevy Silverado. I absolutely hate the auto stop function on it. So we're going to take and install the Autostop Eliminator today. It's a real easy, simple process. So let's tear my truck apart and see how this works out. To go over the tools, I went to Harbor Freight and purchased this nylon pry bar set. It is for trim panels and stuff. It's like $7 or $8. It is not that expensive. I will also link that in the description. I used mostly this tool here and one of these other ones a couple times to push some things, but this one works really good for prying the stuff off. Comes to a point. Makes it easy to get in there. You'll see in the video. Now, I used a 7mm on my truck specifically to remove the screw. So I took one screw out with that. I needed a T15 Torx to remove the 6 Torx. And just a pair of cutters to cut off the supplied cable ties that come in the box. It comes with one big one. That way when you pop the screen and stuff loose, so there's no strain on the wires, you run the big cable tie at the top to kind of hold it in place while you get everything plugged in the bottom. And then you have 2 more smaller cable ties to cable tie up the actual Autostop Eliminator box and the wiring itself, so it's nice and neat and everything goes back together flush. The tools are supposed to be non-marring, but to make sure, I did have a couple issues on some of the edges of the trim, the black pieces down around the driver's side, where I put a little bit too much pressure on it. It did make some small little like indentions into the plastic. So if you want to prevent some of that, get you some painter's tape and run that around the edges to help protect that if you're really concerned about it. The biggest thing here is the silver piece of trim. Be very gentle with that as you go. Just take your time, work around that and get that popped off, because if you scratch that, it's going to show up. That'll be the first thing you see when you get in your truck. So just be gentle as you pop that off there. Other than that, this is a very simple process. It shouldn't take but about 30 minutes to do. Once you figure out, there may be some stubborn clips. Hopefully, my SD card messed up right in the middle of the video, so we kind of got to see, or you're going to get to see what it was like after I took it apart, and then you get to see me put it back together. So hopefully me showing you the clips on the back and putting it back together will help you tear yours apart and get rid of this horrible idea that GM came out with. Alright, there is one 7mm bolt down here at the bottom. You'll have to remove it, then this bottom panel will snap out of the way. And I'll have to get an extension. Okay. Put this screw there. You might have to work from both sides to get this off. Come in on the passenger side and it should just pull up. Kind of work it back and forth till you get it to very close. Just be slide it up out of the way. So there was 3 across the front of that. a 7mm screw on the left side. And another clip in the back on the passenger side here. Now, this bottom trim piece will also need to come loose. Okay, so I already got all this tore apart. The GoPro died, and that has probably ruined a whole lot of this video. But I'm gonna do my best to recover it, recoup what we got here. So you can see I used the long zip tie that comes in the kit to hold this that way, because there is some smaller delicate like wires right here that could possibly pull out. Maybe they don't want you putting a lot of stress on. So got that on there. Hopefully we can see here. The switch plugs in right here. I've already got it plugged in, and the wire plugged in to the back of the Autostop Eliminator. To get it out, you have to pull this red clip up here. You pull this up. I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not, but I use the spudger, the pry tool, to pull that up, and then you push that black button in and it'll come unlocked. So that was not overly difficult to get to and do, but it was a little bit difficult. Now, 6 screws, there's 4 across the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 across the bottom. So you have to take all the trim off the bottom down here to be able to get this to come out. And then once you do that, I took this one pry tool here and I stuck it in behind there and just kind of popped that loose all the way around. So just be gentle on this trim piece here. Just be real delicate with it. Work your way from the lower left corner here around. Here you can see all the clips that are on the back of it. Just kind of work through there real slow, popping that loose. All right. Now, they include a couple zip ties in the kit, which I've thrown down here. They want those. They want you to zip tie the Autostop Eliminator itself to the packet of wires back here. So I'm going to attempt to do that, and then I'll shove the camera in there and show you how it looks when we're done. I can get my arms in there. I got pretty skinny arms, and it's going to be a challenge getting in here to do this. Now, position that where you want it. Now we're going to get a pair of diamond cutters, side cutters, whatever you prefer to call them, and trim this flush, being careful not to clip anything else. Clip that on. Whoop! Blowing the horn. Blowing the horn. Let's go back in here. Blowing the horn here. Let me let this up. Even with the steering wheel up, there's not that much room. But anyway, right here's the Autostop Eliminator. I zip tied it up here to this packet of wires that are clipped to the housing here, the support structure of the dashboard. Here's your other cable coming out, and where it's plugged together, I just kind of shoved it back into there. Hopefully you can see all that. And now we're going to snap it back together. I'm going to cut this big zip tie off that I put here. We're going to clip this one. Make sure you're hanging on to it so you're not put my knee down there. It is a pretty good zip tie, so anyway, I'll push that back up there. Make sure that's pushed in. Just some gentle taps there. Now you got to put the 6 screws They're T15 screws. You gotta put those back in. There's 2 across the bottom, 4 across the top. They bottom out and stop. Don't just bear down on it. If you understand my meaning there. That's hillbilly for don't torque it to death. Now we're gonna get down here in the underneath and put these 2 in the bottom. One more over here on the passenger side. There we go. Now, before we put all this back together, we're going to test this and make sure that it works before we put all this back together. You don't want to have to do this more than once here, so let's see what happens. So I just got the message that the auto stop is off. The auto stop is on. The auto stop is off. Now let's make sure our radio, air conditioning, all that works before we do anything else. Right on. So it looks like everything is working. What we're gonna do is another test real quick. We'll turn this back off. We're gonna turn the truck off. Now we're gonna go ahead and start it back and see if it stays off. Yes, it says auto stop is off. The button is off. So it seems to be working correctly. We can go ahead and put the trim pieces back on. Now, you have 2 trim pieces that go across the bottom here. This, so you can see this, there is 5 snaps on it. It goes in this way. I gotta get it oriented correctly here. It should snap in place easier than it come out. Hopefully you can see on camera this edge here. Just make sure if you want to put some tape on it. There's a couple just very small marring marks on mine where I prised through there a little bit more than I probably should have. So just be careful, maybe roll you some painter's tape or something around that. Now we have the bottom trim piece here. Let's slide that in. Well, before we do, there is 3 clips across the top. There's one on the passenger side, and there's the bolt on the driver's side. I'm gonna work this back into place. You can just kind of smack it to get it in place. Use a 7mm to put this bolt back, screw, whatever you want to call it, put it back in place down here on the driver's side. You may have to do some adjusting till you get it in place. Once you do, it should be fairly easy. Just tighten it up. I'm gonna go on the passenger side, make sure that clip on the passenger side is snapped in place. We're gonna snap this last little trim piece in. I have junk everywhere in here. I'm doing this. Make sure you haven't forgot anything. I'm gonna go ahead and, if I hadn't already, you have 3 across the top. There's 2 there, and then there's 4 more at the bottom. So just try to be gentle, because this stuff's gonna show up. Any little mark you put on it, unfortunately. So just start working yourself back around through there. It all snaps back in. All right, hopefully you found today's video helpful. And if you have, please click the like button down below. But as always, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Fishing It Up.